Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Thursday, May 9, 2024. Well, that's 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We're having a Reverse Aging Health Call and everything else on tomorrow, Friday, around 9 p.m. Eastern. When we judge, we are in the ego mind. When we view or watch, we're in the heart mind. It doesn't really matter if we are conscious or not. So it's like the mind is constantly judging ourselves, other people, this world, and anything that it can get a hold of. And it was created with this master-like judgeaholic power. It can judge anything in milliseconds. Now, most people may not have realized this, yet probably in the last 15 minutes, your mind has passed several judgments on yourself, someone else, or something in the world around you as either good or bad. It is perpetually busy working away at labeling life. And this is why we have so many labels in our civilization. Everything's got to have a label. You ever notice that? Name, label, description. And the judgmental mind is perpetually busy working away at labeling everything in life. And it's a slick cat. We're so accustomed to the mind judging everything in this life. It's as if we've been soaking our hands in warm water for 25 years and we don't realize that the skin's about ready to fall off. So the mind determines what is good or bad. Not both, but either or, either good or bad. It is one-sided viewpoint of existence. Now, what that does is it separates and divides. Interestingly, judgment manifests only when we are living up in the head and are disconnected from our heart. And when we are living from the heart, the mind cannot judge. Isn't that interesting? This occurs because the heart is free from duality, and the mind can only exist in duality, seeing black and white. The heart cannot get hooked in whatever the mind believes is only good or bad. When the heart is leading the way, we are free from the perpetual prison of the judging mind. And you can practice dropping out of the head all day long. It's the only way we're going to free ourselves from this ego mind incessant chatter. So we choose to drop out of the head into the heart. And what happens with the mind? It'll quiet. It'll become quiet and become very still. And from this space, we can watch our mind closely and see just how slippery its judgmental habit is. We can see how it tends to avoid what it deems as scary. It often believes that if I get what I want, this is good, and then I will be happy. And then if I get what I don't want, this is bad, and then I will be unhappy. The more enlightened path, however, is understanding that in this great, divine, supreme, all-intelligent universe, we're going to get it all. Right? We always, always, always get what we want and what we don't want. You have a lot of money. All of a sudden, you have a lot of money, right? But then, after you have a lot of money, then all that other stuff comes in that you really you weren't thinking about. You weren't, it wasn't registering. But you get all this money, and then you say, "Oh boy, how am I gonna manage this? And how am I gonna protect it? And who am I gonna trust?" And it goes on and on. But you don't think about that when you're saying, "Boy, it'd really be great to have that kind of money." So see, the more often that we practice seeing, feeling into, and accepting how we always get what we want and what we don't want in this life, then the judgmental mind just drops on its own accord. We naturally start living every day in deep harmony with existence. We become vulnerable to existence again. And in this wonderful humility, we can feel the great perfection of this life. We deeply accept that this existence is the expression of the highest intelligence, and that the good-bad judgment plan is the smartest plan available from God to create a spiritual awakening experience inside every being on this earth. See if you can find a single situation, person or thing of this world that is only 100% positive and does not also have the tiniest hidden negative byproduct within it. It's like if you think you found something, like a new flower budding or an amazing sunset, all you got to do is just wait, investigate it a bit longer, and both sides will eventually show. There's always another side to the coin. That's why we always use the phrase, well, I guess we used to use it a lot, never judge a book by its cover. Because usually what's on the surface isn't what's underneath, just because it's a mask. Everything centers on you. Everything is about you getting to know you. That's what all of this is about. And choosing to do so. Now that's a toughie because this world, the rat race, society, and the ego mind is constantly pulling at you. And so it pulls at you, and what does it do? It brings you in to yesterday and tomorrow. You might find yourself kind of wandering off, right? Wandering off. And knowing. See, so a lot of people wander off, they don't know it. I've had situations where I would wander off 10, 15 times. So I would just start over again. And then eventually I would wander off. So it is about practicing and wanting to practice. Because what's the end result? You master the ego mind. Once you master the ego mind, you have no fear. Then you elevate your vibrational frequency every day more and more and more because you're cognizant, you're aware of that, of what you're doing. It is not unconscious or subconscious, it is conscious. See, we bring ourselves, at first, many on this planet, are unconscious. So to speak, you can say that they're in an unconscious mode. Because everybody is conscious, but the majority don't know they're conscious. Many of the things that we would like to know are in our where? They're either in our subconscious or our unconscious. Unconsciousness, what's an example of that? Okay. People lining up to get vaccinations. Okay. That's unconsciousness. It's almost like you're a drone and you follow directive. And so if the directive says you're to get this shot because we're telling you it's going to protect you from this, you don't even question it. You're a drone. You are unconscious. When you talk with people in communication, well, friends, lovers, acquaintances, strangers, and you talk with them, and I get a lot of people saying, yeah, they just roll their eyes at me, or, they think I'm a Fruit Loop or something. They're unconscious. That when things are pressuring to them, they cannot make decision. They seek out form of leadership that they can follow. Even though you're on the side, you're kind of over here saying, no, you don't go there. Don't go there. You don't. It's an illusion. You're being seduced. And then they turn and look at you, if they look at you, and they say, well, yeah, never mind, you don't know what you're talking about. What is for this species, this civilization on this planet, what is the number one weakness? Is that they're unconscious. Why do you think it was so easy for off-world beings to invade the planet? Because the majority of the people were unconscious. You do things unconsciously, so you're not thinking about them. How can you? And so the things you do through life mostly are unconscious. And that's why when conscious people get around unconscious people, it's something really, truly interesting to watch. Because the conscious being gets very frustrated with the unconscious being because they don't know they're unconscious. See, you kind of look at everybody and say, well, I'm a conscious being, you got to be a conscious being. But see, that's the frustration factor, because the majority of people on this planet are unconscious. And what I mean by that, it's a mode, because they're really conscious, but they don't know they're conscious, so they slip right into unconsciousness. And you have, there's proof everywhere. This is why so many of us are fooled, tricked, manipulated, directed, and guided in a completely wrong direction. This is why. It's so different that if you don't discover for yourself that you are a conscious being, then you fall victim to being led and directed in the wrong direction. Now, is there a way, which has been asked, I've had this question asked quite a few times, is there a way to get them, to recognize the fact that they're conscious. They got to do that. See? That's up to them. Will they embrace the fact that they are conscious beings, or will they stay in unconsciousness? Really isn't a debate, because if you understand this unconscious mode, they can't make the decisions for themselves. They think they are, but they're led down the path. And it's the main reason, it is the only reason why so many of us are manipulated on an ongoing basis, programmed, conditioned, brainwashed, whatever, however you want to say it, on an ongoing basis. To the extent where we begin to believe things that are absolutely ridiculous. To most, see? And then you would say this to somebody who's conscious, and they would look at you and go, what? But to the unconscious, moded being, it's real for them. And then you sit there and you go, how can this be real for them? It's so blatantly the opposite. How can it be so real to them? Maybe I can wake them up a little bit, you say, and you know, bring up a couple of subjects, and they just bounce off. So it's an evolution in a way, or a discovery, an awareness for the unconscious of this planet Earth. That's why so many of us are trained to believe the lie. And to those that are in unconscious mode, the lie is truthful to them. Now, would you say, from a certain perspective, that the understanding is just about all the leadership on this planet to date has been in unconscious mode? Well, what do you mean by that? Well, when you look around, it's pretty self-explanatory. People who are aware progress. Okay? They're always digging and looking to find little kernels of truth. Now, unconscious moded people, totally opposite. They're told things, and they believe them, as long as whatever is telling them, they believe is credible. For instance, take a child, and in a new generation, let's say a new generation, which has happened many times, begins. And so that new generation says, and you brainwash that new generation into only thinking a certain way. And you negate teaching that new generation about themselves. Awareness, consciousness and unconsciousness. If you're unaware of something, and even if you're aware of it and you don't understand it, And these are, if you're aware of something and don't understand it, the teachings of this planet and this civilization have been to accomplish one thing: regenerate a bicameral civilization. Genuine. Bring them from consciousness into unconsciousness. So reverse field it. Even though the civilization became conscious a few thousand years ago, the funny thing is, they didn't know that. I know that may sound strange, but they didn't know it. They weren't aware that they became conscious. See, Jesus, he was aware that he was conscious. He was a conscious being. He was also aware that everybody else was conscious, but they didn't know it. So he would talk to them in parables, which is a real simple communication, so and have faith that they would understand what he was saying. If you went back during the bicameral era of this species, this civilization, you would get so frustrated trying to communicate with anyone. They wouldn't understand you. They just wouldn't. And you get frustrated. So what in the heck? They don't understand me. Look at me like I'm, that they can't hear me. Do you find a comparison or something that's eerily close back then to now? It is. It really is. That there's a lot of people that you would talk with that don't understand what you're talking about. And they might be polite and nod their head and say, oh, yeah, really? Oh, okay. But they don't have a clue what you're talking about. See, we have an opportunity during this massive transition on this planet. Everybody's in a bubble. Okay? Now, some of the bubbles you can't see through because they're so dank and they're so coated. Some of the other bubbles you can see through and look around and everything. And then some of us decide, you know what, I don't need to be in this bubble anymore. So they pop the bubble. And then they're able to move on their own, do things, create things, instead of being in a bubble. Now you can picture this, visualize this. As far as the eye can see, in the rat race, there's all these bubbles. Different colors, different hues and stuff. Some of them, like I said, you look at them and you can't see anything in them because they're so clouded. As far as the eye can see, all around you, there's these bubbles with people in the bubbles. And then you see some of the bubbles pop. They just fall to the ground. And you begin thinking for yourself, governing yourself, feeling for yourself, understanding who and what you are for yourself. And then you see there's like it's the same direction, okay? Everybody's going in this direction. And then eventually you see these like roads come off of the ground. And you see some people who have popped their bubbles walking up those. They're like ramps into the sky. And you realize that those people have become self-aware. And it doesn't negate all the people that are in the bubbles at all. And that's what it comes down to, that we make the decision. The people that pop their bubbles make the decision. Then I'm going to pop this bubble. I'm no longer going to be held inside it, restricted. I want the flexibility and freedom all around me, and I want to be able to do the things I want to do. I can't do those in this bubble. So people become aware. Like if you saw the Matrix movie, the first one, and you saw how the character all these, humans were living a life in their minds. And their bodies were suspended in this goop, and the energy was being pulled from their God within the body to feed all of the machinery. It actually was housing and incarcerating all these bodies while they were living lives only in their minds. And of course, with the character Neo, he became aware. He started figuring it out with the help of those who already have become aware. And you saw the majority of the planetary population, well, let's say the majority, were all in these pods, living out their lives. And then some of them finally got to the point where they started realizing, hey, this isn't right here. And they pretty much broke out of it. And you saw a few 100,000 of them underground. But if you understand what that is conveying, is that you have a choice. And if you're really asleep because of all the propaganda and all the conditioning and all the programming in this entire life of yours, you're going to probably have to go another lifetime to wake up. All of those people who have decided to become aware more, research more, look at things more from different perspectives, are going to move into New Earth. This is a choice. It's not good, bad, or indifferent. It's just a choice. They'll decide that they want to increase their vibrational frequencies in peace, love, and joy rather than doubt, fear, anger, greed, manipulation. This is a choice. You make that choice. So being unconscious, imagine that, and not knowing it. Or being conscious, same thing, and not knowing it. That's why when you look at the time is an illusion. But you look at the time and you say, wow, where has all the time gone? And we do not have enough time, so to speak, in these bodies to discover who and what we are, to understand ourselves. Instead of living in an illusion of separation. Now you could discover for yourself that, wait a minute, I know that this is an illusion. I know everything around me. I've had a part in creating it. So I know, what is it for? Well, it's for me, any of us, to experience. We didn't experience. We'd be like sitting in this goop, doing nothing. People who are aware are becoming more aware. The people who are in unconscious mode are staying in unconscious mode. Those are the ones that they look at everything differently than we do. They'll see like this sham of a Biden group, and they'll think that that's a good thing. They'll think that that's good. They'll believe that they're real. They're not. So this is why one would say, focus on yourself. Focus on discovering the God that you are within that body. Everything out there is an illusion that entertains us, and we get experience from it. How would you feel to completely know that everything, day to day, moment to moment, is temporary? It's all temporary. No matter what you do, it's temporary. The body you're in is temporary. Doesn't it make sense that we would focus more on becoming more and more aware, increasing our vibrational frequencies on this planet, so that we would begin to discover that we are a God in the body, pure consciousness, and we would ascend. And we wouldn't be in the head, we would be in the heart-mind. And not just on occasion, but all the time. How are we? Okay, you begin to realize that you're a conscious being in this very now moment. You're not unconscious, not bicameral. You are a conscious being. So therefore, you're becoming more and more aware. You're not judging anything out there. You're looking within and continuing to expand yourself. And you also find yourself not becoming upset about anything. It just kind of goes right by. Why? Why would you? Why would you expend that energy on something so ridiculous? You wouldn't when you're concentrating and focusing on within. Wouldn't. Would you worry about finances? Would you worry about health? Would you worry about all these things? No, you wouldn't. That'd all be gone. How many people on this planet do you believe practice being in the now? Or let's just say in your own town. Your answer would probably most likely be, not many at all. Can you tell when someone's in a hurry? Can you? Can you tell when someone's in a hurry? Usually you can. You might say to yourself, what are they in such an all-get-out hurry for? Oh, I got to get to here before it closes, or I got to do this for it. And what is that? It's called hurry. And you don't realize it, but you're being directed by the matrix. You're being told what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Free thinking is all about being within. When you go within and you finally start discovering that you are the peace, you are the tranquility, the ease, the love, the joy, the bliss, wouldn't you stay there? Or at least practice it more and more so that you could get a little taste of it now and then. See, when we realize and we spend the time consciously, awareness, bathe in this understanding, we ascend. How do we ascend? Our vibrational frequencies. You're genuinely happy most of the time, your frequency's high. And it's going to go higher. But if you're down and out, and you're worried about this, worried about that, stressing about this, stressing about that, obviously it's going to be a lot lower. It's like standing in a hot air balloon on the ground, getting ready to take off. If you don't remove the weight in that basket, you're never going to go up. It's the same with all of us. We don't, literally go in, to a certain extent, go inside and do a massive house cleaning. Look at all the things you're carrying and look at fear and what it's doing and the anxieties and all these things. And sometimes you might say, why am I so happy? Why do I have this wonderful feeling? Because it's the God within you that you're feeling. Do you understand that the majority of this civilization, however you want to label it, species, civilization, is in an unconscious mode? And then there's very few, that are in a conscious mode. How is that going to change? Really, how will it change? Well, it's up to every one of us to discover that we're conscious beings. And that sounds kind of strange, but pretty much the only way to do that is to go within. And what you're looking at is you're looking at a lot of people that are in an unconscious mode. So they're not going to go within. Period. They don't have the motivation or the understanding to do that. So it's self-discovery for every one of us. Something can spark it. Doesn't have to be huge. Could be a little thing. Could be a lot of happiness flowing, a lot of joy. Or disappointment. But in order for us to, as a civilization, as a species, to move forward, expand, is to discover that we are conscious beings, and these bodies house the most omnipotently powerful source in all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, and forever. And it's about discovery. And it's like a lot of people say, well, how are we going to wake up everybody? You're not. Like I've said, others will incarnate again and again and again until they get it. Be in deep gratitude because you're aware to a certain extent of knowing and choosing to discover who and what you are in a conscious state. That's absolutely phenomenal. And in a conscious state, what are you doing? Well, you've decided to discover basically who and what you are. And you understand that you're not the body, you're not your name, you're none of this stuff. It's all illusion. It's our entertainment, believe it or not. For all of us, it's entertainment. This is why we create it. We wouldn't know what the heck to do with ourselves if we weren't master creators. So we create an experience, create an experience, create an experience for millions and billions and trillions of years. This is what we do. And right now, the adventure that we're on is to make sure that we are in a conscious state and our awareness continues to grow about who and what we are in these bodies. Which means mastering the ego mind, our thoughts, and eventually staying in the heart mind. I'll join you in the meditation. I'll return to close us out.
Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. An easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. Time to release any mental, emotional, or physical inner wounds you are holding on to, so that you are more open and receptive to the divinity within. For today, redirect your attention towards the most soft, gentle, loving, healing energy you can imagine. It could be anything, a new puppy, a soft fuzzy blanket. It just depends. Whatever you focus on, let yourself soften and welcome the relaxing, healing vibrations all throughout your body. This gentleness will help you heal in more ways than you know. Imagine a soft, healing energy is penetrating every cell in your body throughout the day today. Notice how your face changes in the mirror when you are focusing on this healing energy. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, and the following morning. We will return here Friday, May 10, 2024, around 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call, and around 9 p.m. Eastern to continue our reverse aging health call. Gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Being the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times. And watch the magic flow.